Okay, I guess, so are we going to talk about the 8 a.m., 7:30?
No, I think, maybe comes out afterwards, but the new revised schedule, what are the problems that have emerged for Hornby traffic from Tusashiro's given advice?
Well, there's two that I hear a lot about. The key one, the primary one for most residents who I've spoken to recently is the extended waiting times. When they're coming from Hornby, Shingle Spit to Gravelly Bay, then Gravelly Bay to Denman West, they sometimes have to wait at Denman West an extended period of time before catching a ferry, sometimes over an hour, and that's for the next scheduled sailing. And the same applies coming back in some cases when they're going from Denman West to Gravelly, trying to get ready, that they can be stuck waiting at Gravelly Bay for an extended period. And I'm hoping that we can just sort of tighten up those times. I'm not sure why those times had such long lags between them. There may be a reason for it that we can't avoid, but I'm hoping that most of them at least can be resolved just by simply changing the times in a way that won't impact other issues.
Can I ask a quick question for the ferries? There's the 2-hour waits, as we know, from Hornby between ferries, but and there's supposed to be a cost saving, but are not those ferry workers still being paid sitting around? I know they're working, but they're not delivering passengers. So I don't understand why we're being asked to sit around for 2 hours rather than maybe 50 minutes or turnaround, because why not run a ferry? It doesn't cost a whole lot, but it's the wages, I gather, that's the expense. That's my question. So I don't understand the rationale.
And fuel.
Well, I'm fuel. I understand that, but we've got to work.
I appreciate us with coming up with this, because this is something all of us are here every single day. We understand that the fuel costs are very small, maybe $30 or so for a round trip, I don't know. So if $30 is being saved, how much crew time is being saved? Because the $30 is usually inconvenience, and some cases where you've got delivery trucks that are $100 or more per truck that's having to wait per hour rather, per truck per hour, waiting at Shingle Spit because they've done a delivery on Hornby, and then that's passed on to the customer. How those savings can be justified. So what savings are there in addition to the fuel costs?
I'll leave in 4 minutes. Okay. So I'd like to say my 4 minutes worth, if I may. There are a number of trips that had to be modified after the first schedule came out. I believe that was due to very poor consultation, that we should have brought more players into the picture and discussed things like whoever decided that the dangerous cargo leaves Hornby at 4:40 and leaves Denman at 3:40. That was a silly oversight. Would have been caught if more parties been brought into that. Schedule change. A couple of days go by, another change. A couple of days go by, another change. So it was very poor consultation. So Saturday morning, you all know my husband works in the ferry. I say to him Friday night, so you guys sleep in tomorrow morning, hey? He goes, no, I don't think so. I go, I'm on the ferry stakeholders. I'm pretty sure you don't go to work tomorrow morning because those first 2 runs don't go, and they wanted you guys to have a longer break. No, I'm pretty sure I'll go, but I'll go on the crewing list. Sure enough, they go to work Saturday morning. We save $60 in fuel for not running those 2 ferries. Ron says, oh, but we're really productive because we've got our safety meetings down, blah, 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 blah. They were productive, whatever. But meanwhile, if you want to rent the water taxi, it's $300 for us to get to Comox. So can we rent a boat for $60 to take us across because the crew's already there? 1 point. So even if you're going to stick with that, that's all fine and well. Can we shift it to Sunday? Because Saturday morning is too critical. There's people who have children that take swimming lessons. They can't get to town for. There's a group of people that go to the opera. I know that's can neither go to here nor there. But if you're going to move days around and the crew's going to stay at work, can you move it to Sunday morning? Because less people travel on Sunday morning than Saturday morning. So that's one that I would like you to look at. The 6 o'clock caught so many people to do 7:40. For those people who leave Hornby and are hoping to catch the 9 boat out of Nanaimo, they have to drive like crazy. So somehow that 6 o'clock boat off of Hornby can leave Denman a little bit sooner. And I did see James Volker had put something through. I think it was this morning. I saw an email where he said the Denman crew has to have their dinner break. They could move it up somewhat. It doesn't have to be a 70-minute layover, it can be a 35 or 40-minute layover. If you could at least move that one up. Appreciate that you guys threw, or Todd Minster-Stone had you guys throw the Friday night back into, but the fact there's still some confusion over it gets to Denman but doesn't get off at Denman, so we need to make sure we get that information out. I would love to revisit this, and I'd love to revisit this schedule for Hornby and Denman with a small committee of people that would involve the people who run the boat. Not even the senior master, I don't even think was included. I think it was someone, a middle management above him. But people who actually use the boat, us that live there, the people who run the boat, and a couple of BC Ferries people, and actually analyze each one of these runs and go, why is that happening? Because it wasn't very productive at the Kingfisher. When we sat there and we went, well, how about move this one to this one? And the guy took his spreadsheet and went over to here. We're all trying to follow. When we all left, if we hadn't written it down, nobody knew what the schedule was. So my vote is to revisit it. I would really appreciate that you would allow us the option of looking at September's before September arrives, and that we arrive with a more productive, easier to follow schedule. I think I'm an advocate of business. I'm an advocate of not having empty boats and the likes of that, but there's ways to make things move smoother and better, and this process was not a good example of that. So.
Yeah, we got great reviews everywhere else. That's too bad.
You got great reviews everywhere else.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Darren. This is the shits.
No, I mean, we were under a tight schedule. And everywhere we went, people said, we're trying, we know you're trying to hammer out a schedule in 2 weeks.
It's the double ones that get you.
I know.
It's ours that got it. It's not just that, can you get from A to B, it's getting from A to B to C. It's complicated, and so there was just a lot of mistakes made that shouldn't have been made. Right? The schedule changed so often, this is my stack.
And I think what we're asking is, whatever we come up from today, that this isn't the end of the process, that we have some further consultation process. We've got till September. Because
Peter did say that day.
Yes, because there were things that every one of us missed at the Kingfisher.
And I thought that she mentioned before that the players involved were not there, and we do need that voice.
I think we do.
I really miss it.
Can I just say something before you go?
Yeah.
We came up, we worked together to try and come up with a schedule. And I think to date now, I think like you said, we've revised it 4 times, and we have looked, we've been very proactive in taking suggestions in hand. I think on my file right now, I have about 200 letters from individuals from Hornby Island who have, if I look at them, everybody wants something different. And I think that's the challenge, is that for every change we make, we affect somebody else. And at the end of the day, it's really hard to try and come to something that's going to please everybody.
Let us take it back to our communities. Let us be the process that we're supposed to be. If we're truly here as part of a consultation process and advisory, let us go back to our community and say, okay guys, we heard you, we tried this, but this one affects that. The best of the scenario is this, right? And so utilize us, use us. We're here to do that. We're part of the team, but we don't feel like we're part of the team, or at least I certainly don't. And there's a number of other issues to me that needs to be, when I've asked about fuel consumption, I've asked engineers what they do during their break. They're reluctant to do anything that might take that boat offline for longer than that extra hour that they're offline. So the engineers that I spoke to said, I'm not doing anything that might require me not to leave when I'm supposed to. So I'm very careful. So I know you're not saving a ton of money from an engineer. You're actually costing in fuel because we have some short turnaround times, and there's a few captains out there that are now pedal to the metal, where the other captains are still going, if I dock the boat smoothly, I can get it in quietly, I don't have to increase my time, I'm okay, but it's not working in a great manner, and I think we can. I think we all have a similar desire here to make it work. I know I do, and I appreciate that you guys are here and listening to us. I'm sorry I have to run for childcare.
Before you leave in closing, I would just like to say we've always committed at BC Ferries to continue to work with the FAC. We knew it wasn't going to be perfect because of the time constraints, and we will continue to work. Your suggestion and your commitment to work with the Hornby Island community so that we can get some consistency in what the community wants.
Yes.
We'll try to work through that. We still have to make the savings as required by the province, but we are committed to try to make that work.
Yes, I hear you. No, thanks.
So maybe we can just move to Denman and get some of the key Denman issues up, Frank.
Yeah.
Cautionary note.